Wow. Hello, everybody, and welcome to 5 in 5, your weekly diet of bite-sized reflections from individuals who are trailblazing diversity and inclusion in many walks of life. My name is Nile Henry, and I'm your host for 5 in 5. Today, I am joined by Louise Maynard-Atem, who graduated with a PhD in materials chemistry and is a data lead analyst at GBG Group. Welcome to 5 in 5, Louise.
Hi, Niall. Thanks so much for having me.
No, thank you for coming on. I'm going to go straight into the questions. So the first question I'm going to ask you, Louise, is what do you think is one of the largest barriers to diversity in STEM?
I think it's so much that, you look at the people that work in STEM and you see quite a uniform, homogenous group. And certainly, if speaking for myself, I've looked at those sorts of rooms and those sorts of organizations and thought, is there a place for me in that kind of environment where there is no one who looks like me and probably very few people who have similar experiences to me? So I think it's a lot of the images that we see of STEM and of them not looking very diverse. And that just puts people off because they think, well, I can't see anybody that looks like me in there, so maybe I don't belong. And I think that's the big thing.
And in terms of those barriers, what actions do you think that we need to take?
I think in terms of STEM, we need to start as early as possible, encouraging people and showing them what the potential opportunities that STEM brings. I think a lot of time you think of scientists, you think of the white coats, you think of the lab, you don't think of the really broad opportunities that exist from doing a science degree, an engineering degree, maths, technology, anything like that. I started in chemistry, so I did start in a white coat in a lab with the beakers and the things catching fire, to be honest. And now I work in data. I work for an identity and fraud business. So you wouldn't necessarily make the link with the girl in the lab coat versus what I do now. But STEM is so broad and there's so many different opportunities. I think people just need to be able to see where STEM can take them and understand the breadth of different careers that they could have through starting out in STEM.
In terms of those broad ranges of STEM that you mentioned, which one excites you the most? Which development?
I don't know if I could choose one because, to be honest, I've worked across science, technology, engineering, and maths. So I'm probably not the best person to pick one and say which one is the most exciting. I think from my academic background, I will always be a scientist at heart, and I will always love that element of, doing completely new things. But over the course of the past 10 years, I've moved probably more into the technology space. And I think in the next 10 years, technology is only going to become more and more relevant. Data is only going to become more and more relevant. So I think the biggest opportunities will probably lie in the technology space and technology feeding into the science, the engineering, and the maths. So if I had to choose one, it would probably be technology.
Now, here's an interesting question for you, Louise. In terms of in your working life or even in your personal life, what would you say is your favorite failure?
Favorite failure? Wow. Okay. I would say I took a job. When was it? It's 2014. And it was a job that I really, really wanted. I'd been trying to get into this particular organization for a really long time. And I got to the job and I lasted less than a year. I didn't like it at all. And for so long, I thought, well, I didn't even stick 12 months. I didn't do the things that I had hoped I would do in that job. And I considered it a failure, to be honest, because I thought, well, I thought this was going to be great. I thought I was going to be great at it. And I wasn't. In complete honesty, I was not very good in that role. It wasn't the role that I thought it was going to be. And I just thought, I'm going to quit. So I quit after 11 months. And for a really long time, that was a failure to me. And I tried to do things to hide it on my CV because I thought, oh my God, I've not stayed in this job even a year. That looks really bad. Mm-hmm. But if I think back to it now, that job led to another role, which I then ended up staying in for 4.5, nearly 5 years. And that role has, led on to the different roles that I've done now. So at the time, it felt like a personal failure that I couldn't perform well in this job, that I couldn't even last 12 months. But if I reflect on it now, it was actually the thing that led me into the roles that I'm doing today. And without that role, I wouldn't be here. So whilst it felt like a massive failure at the time, obviously hindsight's 2020, but you look back and think, oh, all of these steps, which probably felt like missteps at the time or failures at the time, actually brought you to the place you're in today. And I'm pretty happy with the place I'm in today. So clearly it wasn't that much of a failure.
And it's so interesting because, you know, anything in terms of your positive and negative experience, I always say that, you know, things happen for a reason.
Yes.
And they, you know, it's only in hindsight when you look back and you think, thank God that happened, because it was a stepping stone to get to where I've needed to get to today.
Yeah. And to pick up on the personal point, actually, I left that job and moved to my next one. And in the next job, I actually met my now husband. So really, it was actually good from a personal perspective and a professional perspective. There you go.
Great story right there. And my last question, Louise, and this is a random bonus question.
Okay.
So brace yourself here.
Right,
So
I'm nervous.
if there was a film to be made about you, which actor would you want to play you?
Okay, so I'm gonna answer the question, but kind of not a little bit, because I'd want there to be multiple actors
Okay.
different phases of my life, right?
Right.
So like child me, okay, I don't know any young actors, to be honest, but let's go with like Zendaya or someone like that. Yeah, we'll go.
Okay.
Young me is Zendaya, and then like me, like age that I am right now, you know, I want to say Beyonce, but she's not really an actress. So let's say like Jennifer Hudson. She's got some good acting chops. And then older, more mature me, who's wise and like, you know, achieved lots of things, got to be Viola Davis.
Viola Davis.
So those three people.
Viola, if you're ever watching this, you know, we need you in this documentary about Louise.
Exactly.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you so much, Louise, for being a guest on 5 for 5. And I hope everyone that's tuned in, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. And make sure to like this video, hit subscribe on our YouTube page, and catch us next week for our next episode. And for now, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.